Good evening, and welcome to the YESSInstitute's very first virtual Road to Success. And of course, with the virtual, something has to go wrong. My name is Mike Berenson, and I'm the current board chair, and I've also served on YES's board for the last 4 years. The first time I heard about YES and their mission, it made me think about key mentors in my life that I've had over the years and all that they've taught me. And not just the textbook stuff, but the soft skills too, and how critical that was to my own personal road to success. This year marks YES's 20th anniversary. And while we've certainly grown, changed, and adapted over the years, at its core, YES has remained true to that same mission since 2001. So on behalf of my fellow board members and all of us on the YES team, we thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you for supporting such an amazing organization. Before we get started, one housekeeping item. If you haven't already, please click the Comments tab located on the right-hand side of your screen in order to see messages and updates throughout the event. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the night, Ms. Diani Batista. She's a graduating senior at North High School and has been a part of YES since her freshman year. She started as a mentee, and over the years, she's been a mentor and even a mentor leader. She is also recently awarded a $2,000 YES scholarship. We are thrilled to have her tell her story and share her insight, because after all, no one knows YES better than our students.
YES speech because I was selected by an amazing teacher. So here I go. Good afternoon/good evening. I was recently selected by my amazing YES teacher to write a speech about how great the YES mentoring program treated me. Being in the program for 4 years straight has been super beneficial to me in many ways. I never knew how much YES would take me out of my comfort zone. When I joined YES, I never understood how much I would learn and how much I would grow because of it. Something seems so simple, like meeting great people who will have an impact on you, or learning skills that will help you achieve goals and push through obstacles. During my freshman year of high school, I never in a million years would have been comfortable speaking or leading the class in discussion. My nerves would always get the best of me. I would always think I would be made fun of for always being the one to raise my hand and volunteer to answer a question when I knew the answer. This year, I became a mentor leader, and now I was one expected to lead discussions or activities, which again pulled me out of my comfort zone. We learn not only how to be a leader, but also how to encourage others to speak, which makes others feel valued when sharing their opinion. Another favorite activity of mine in YES was participating in team building exercises. I love the time when we built spaghetti towers to see how well we interacted with others by building communication skills and teamwork. One of my absolute best moments while being in YES was my sophomore and junior year when we went outside as a class to play volleyball. This may seem like a simple fun, but we were learning how to properly communicate as a team. We had a few students who didn't even want to try, but that's when I knew YES was beneficial because we had fellow classmates encouraging these students to give it a try and motivating them by cheering them on. Although there are so many great memories I could still share, one of my favorites was the connections you made with people. I liked having a mentor to look up to whenever you need help or advice. The last couple of years, I've been a mentor and a leader, where some students are depending on me, asking me questions how to be successful in high school. This makes me want to be the best student possible, because now I have others looking at me as an example. YES teaches you how to step out of your comfort zone, how to become a leader, how to lead a helping hand to others, how to grow as a student and a leader. This class definitely brings out qualities about yourself that you never thought you had. I mean, look at me. Who would have thought I would be giving a speech right now? I never would have imagined myself.
Thank you, Diani. And what an inspirational story. Our next speaker tonight likely doesn't need much of an introduction, given he might possibly know almost everyone in the nonprofit community. Over the years, it's been my pleasure working with him and getting to know him, even if that means putting up with the occasional banker joke at my expense. If you know Yes, you know him. So it's my pleasure to introduce the co-founder and executive director of the YESSInstitute, Carlo Creek.
Carlo Krikos, and I'm the co-founder and the executive director of the YESSInstitute. So YESSInstitute is 20 years this year. And so I want to take a moment really to express my deepest gratitude to all the people who have been helping us and supporting us over the last 20 years. Just to call out two people. One, for most important, of course, my wife, who has been supporting us from day one. And the first years were pretty rough to start an agency after 9/11. So thank you so much, Wendy. And I definitely also want to make a mention of Susan Greer, who is the other co-founder of the YESSInstitute and stayed with the YESSInstitute for the first 5 years to get us off the ground. Because let's face it, I'm just a guy from Belgium. I arrived off the boat here in '99, and so I had a lot to learn. And so I'm still listening and learning a lot to be able to lead this agency in the best possible way that I can. Now, people have asked me many times, so why did you start another nonprofit? Why did you start the agency? Well, many of you have actually heard about my 18-month motorbike trip from California to Chile, which was quite an adventure. But what it really did is it provided the spark for me to work with kids. It was really after those travels and kind of the challenges that I encountered at that time that taught me the importance for emotional intelligence, the importance of emotional intelligence to be successful in your personal life, but also in your career. And yes, it's really, for me to start this was really the combination of those two. One, the kids, and the other, the importance of emotional intelligence. Because if we want tomorrow to be a world where we want people to be caring and people to be productive, we have to invest today in our future leaders. We have to teach them what it means to be caring for the community. We have to teach them what it means to have empathy for others and to give back. But also we have to teach them how to deal with these tricky situations in our life and all the obstacles that life throws at us so that they get to be successful and get to be the caring and the productive members in the communities that they can be. So let me share my screen with you for a second to show you that this stuff really works with the YESSInstitute. So here are some statistics of what we have gotten over the last 20 years. So here's some numbers. We have served over 8,000 students. If you count that up, we have done over 9 years, if it works 24 hours a day, over 9 years of services. We have been working with low-income communities of color. And if you look over the last 4 years where we have provided post-secondary support to our seniors, 100% acceptance there, and over $7 million of scholarships. And the YESSInstitute actually also hands out our own Road to Success scholarships to quite some stellar students. Next slide shows some of the growth that we have experiencing in the last 10 years, from a budget from under $200,000 to actually this year budget over $1 million. This is times 5 in our budget. But when it comes to serving kids, we really have gone times 11 from 114 kids a year in 2011, 2012 to now over 1,200 kids serving in 10 different schools in Metro Denver. When you look at the hard outcomes that schools are looking for, let's show this. Here is a direct correlation between, on one hand, the growth in social emotional learning that students are demonstrating and their growth in GPA and their growth in credit gaining. And so what you see here in green are the YES students. What you see in the other color, in purple and blue, these are the students come out of the same cohort. With regards to graduation, the top right, YES students, 85% on track to graduate. Students from the same cohort, 40% on track to graduate. Looking at English and math and looking at the proficiency percentile and the growth in proficiency percentiles, in English, YES students in 1 year, a 33% growth in English compared to the other group of 12. A 25% growth in math compared to 1% of the of the control group that comes from the same cohort. So as I said, this stuff really works. There are some other ways also how we have been contributing our knowledge and expertise to the community. Let me give you 2 examples. One is that YES has been working together with the Denver Police Force. We actually have been working in developing curricula and in forums and training for police officers and police recruits with regards to teaching police officers emotional intelligence strategies, but also teaching them about adolescent brain development. So what we really want to do is when there's a conflict between youth and police, so that there will be the minimal amount of harm during that conflict as a result of that conflict. Another way how we've been working and partnering with the city is that YESSInstitute has developed together with the city a cannabis curriculum for middle school students, because that's the age when students start to experiment with cannabis. And so the curriculum, which is online now also, is called Healthy Lifestyles, and it's really educating students about the consequences of using cannabis. So today, at 20 years, we are actually more ambitious than we have ever been, because we feel that we have developed expertise over the last 20 years. We've learned a lot. We've created models. We have written curricula. And we believe that this can be used beyond Metro Denver. This can be used across Colorado and beyond Colorado as well. Now, we know that this challenge to do this is very ambitious. And so, because we know that this is going to take a lot of work, but we want to accept that challenge because we feel that students are waiting in the wings. And so it is our responsibility really to build the systems and the processes so that we can reach those students, so that they get to be also productive and caring members in their communities and can inspire others to be so as well. So we hope that you will be a part in making that challenge a success to support a larger cohort of students. So thank you very much for being here today. I want to introduce now as next up a video, which is actually a compilation of voices of the videos of the last 20 years of the YESSInstitute. So thank you.
It's called Tuesdays at Maury after the book, and it's because we go down to Maury Middle School and we mentor some of the kids there.
I almost got expelled last year because my grades were horrible. I was involved in drug-related things. I got involved in stealing. I got involved in so many things that were just really bad for me.
It's been challenging. She's told me some things that are hard to hear, and I'm just like, how can this girl be this strong and this confident and this fun after all the things that she's been through, you know?
She was really nice to me all the time. She seemed like she actually liked me, and I'm not exactly used to that.
She said that she really trusts me a lot, and I feel like a big sister because she lives with her single mom, and that, you know, like, that's it for her. For those who have opened up, yeah, they do suffer, and I think it helps them to know that there's kids our age who are sitting there saying it's not the coolest thing.
I've definitely seen an improvement in her. She made honor roll this year.
I had straight F's last year, and now I made honor roll this year. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of a shock.
YES stands for Youth Empowerment Support Services, and we provide peer mentoring programs. So we match 9th and 10th graders with successful 11th and 12th graders in a mentoring relationship, and deliver a social and emotional intelligence curriculum, as well as teaching study skills.
My experience with YES has been amazing. I mean, it's a great chance for me to give back to the community and help out kids that are really in need of it. Because with our school, kids need a lot of help. When I became the mentor leader, I took it a lot more serious, and I realized the impact you can have on some of these students.
I wanted to just help out with as many people as I can, because I know growing up, like, in these times, you don't really have anyone and it's hard to trust people, and I wanted to be there for someone. Like, I would want someone to be there for me.
Well, before I used to ditch a lot. Like I would barely be in school. I would just leave, like not caring about my grades, not caring about what I was doing. I would just mindless decisions. That one time when they caught me, when they put me to Medina's office and they were talking to me about that, I was just laughing. Like, I mean, I didn't care. I was like, whatever. I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing I'm gonna care about. If you guys can say whatever you want, I don't care.
I say this in my house and to a lot of kids I work with. The streets fight for them and gangs fight for them, so I must fight for them. And that's just pretty much what I've done with the kids that I worked with through the YES mentoring program. We pair off student to student, and we get work done. When you explain things to kids, some get it, some don't. When it's a student to a student, there's more of an achievement between the kid to a kid. A kid's able to show them, here's my secret and how I get an algebra problem done, versus a way a teacher might show you.
She would help me, like if I didn't understand something, I'd be like, hey, can you help me? And she would try her best. Like if she didn't even know it, she would try her best, like anything she could. It was just surprising that I could get so far, like that I could do it. Like before I used to not believe in myself. I used to be like, well, I'm never gonna get there. Like she saw something in me that it just helped. It felt really good.
The program being here at West Leadership Academy is probably one of the best things that has happened to the school, to be completely honest with you. The curriculum itself provides social emotional learning skills, and it provides a classroom where we can have these discussions on race, drugs, alcohol, abuse, all relevant issues that we still face today in any classroom. It just so happens that it's here at West Leadership Academy, my home. So my name is Carlos Villagrana Juarez. I am 25 years old and I am the YES program manager at West Leadership Academy. I attended West High School from 2008 through 2012, and I particularly joined the YES program my senior year of high school. YES mentoring gives me an opportunity to be a decent role model and to give back to my community by helping little teenagers get themselves into a better growing-up mentality.
Thank you, Carlos.
I was able to flourish. I was able to talk about what was on my mind. I was able to talk about what I wanted to do 10, 20 years down the road. Those sociable skills that I learned through the Institute was definitely a big part of my success at the University of Denver. And ultimately, later on in life.
YES has been teaching students all year about social emotional learning, about themselves, about how to navigate relationships, about how to deal with their own emotions.
These skill sets, no matter what field you go into, no matter what you end up doing in your life, if you know how to talk to people well and you know what's going on and you know how to manage your emotions and manage other people's expectations, that's a skill set that you can use everywhere that will always be so valuable.
This is where YES truly steps into action and where the skills that we've been teaching all year long are being implemented by students now on a daily basis. This brings up a lot of emotions, and so we have to know how to manage these emotions and how to navigate these emotions. This is YES in real time at this moment.
The impact that we're having is so enormous and so broad because every person that you send into the world with more of this knowledge of how to impact people positively rather than negatively and how to navigate social situations in a way that is constructive, they spread that to the people around them and the people around them. And it echoes out into the community and it's hugely impactful. And we're that first drop in the water that ripples out. And it's awesome.
Wow. It is incredible to see the positive impact and the work that YES has done over the last 20 years. However, none of this would have been possible without our amazing YES team. And this is especially true when it comes to our incredible program managers. It is a true honor for me to introduce our keynote speaker of the evening, Mr. D'Artagnan Crockett. D'Artagnan is a two-time Paralympian bronze medalist from Team USA in competitive judo. Wow, now that's an introduction that I never imagined giving. In addition, he's also an accomplished inspirational speaker, how fitting for tonight, but most importantly, and most certainly biased, he's also part of the YES family. I could go on about his accolades, but what we admire him most for at Yes is being an extraordinary program manager and role model for the Yes students at Random Middle School. Thank you for everything you do for Yes, D'Artagnan, and thank you for sharing your story tonight.
I think I have short time, so I'll just jump right into it. You are not responsible for what's happened, but you are responsible for your healing. Now, when I first heard that quote, I felt a bit of agreeable bitterness. Have you guys felt that before? Like, yeah, I feel what you're saying, but I'm still mad about it. I agreed that, yeah, of course, we're not responsible for most or all of the painful things that have happened to us. We're not. It was easy to sit with that information in my head. However, the piece that I struggled with was taking responsibility for my own healing. You see, I was 26 at the time, and I was perpetually tired. I was overwhelmed, and right down to it, I was scared. I felt that taking on any more responsibility would crush me. More importantly, I had no idea what healing was. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what it sounded like. I didn't even know what it felt like. I had never seen healing with my own eyes, so I guess as a result of my ignorance, that quote didn't quite hit the mark for me. And I still almost knew nothing of healing. I did know one thing, though. One thing that my heart was absolutely telling me was that healing was my only option. 3 questions, however, they stood as barriers to the answers that I was looking for. And that is, what is it that I need to heal from? What does it mean to heal? And how will I even know if I'm healing? Well, throughout my career and throughout my quest for answers, I have gained some powerful knowledge, which has matured into wisdom. And I've uncovered many pieces of who I am. And while who I am is a great many things, like all of us, who I am as a survivor of childhood trauma, that is what's relevant tonight. And when I say these words, when I say I'm a childhood of trauma, I'm a survivor of childhood trauma, this piece of who I am telling you this. Yeah, I've survived my own childhood. Now, some of you may not get this, even reject it, and that's okay. Some of you might understand this on an intellectual level. And some of you are going to feel this in the pit of your soul. You're just going to feel it. And many children who serve at YESSInstitute, they certainly feel this as well. And so for a long time, I wore that survivor of childhood trauma label as sort of a badge of honor, a big old grand achievement, if you will. And as it turns out, though, in regards to healing, I was wearing it wrong. And I hadn't learned this lesson until after my retirement from a Paralympic career in judo. And that lesson also reminded me why I got into sport in the first place. And I'd like you all to please know that this next story comes with a bit of a trigger warning. Be still. I was surrounded in darkness when those words found their way to me. Be still. A gentle surrender had fallen over my body. Be still. You know, I couldn't actually hear those words, but I felt them. And then my body responded accordingly. And then a haunting silence. It just filled the space as I was woken up. Don't move or I'll fucking kill you. Now empty your pockets. Oh, these words, they shook my soul and brought me to full attention. I was chest down with the left side of my face pressed into the sidewalk. I could tell that I was about 100 feet away from my house, and initially I was still not sure what was happening. But even still, my body had remembered the wisdom of those words and remained still. Then, without a word, my attention shifted to the full situation. I was pinned beneath the barrel of a gun, with 2 men standing over me. One straddled my frozen body as he continued to apply his weight to the gun against my head. The other just stood there quietly and just kept watch. I didn't have a chance to think before these words left my lips. I don't have anything, just the food. closed my eyes, and then time stopped as I waited for them to respond. And when I opened my eyes, the two men were gone. And so was the food. But that was okay because I was still here. For a long time, for a very long time, I wanted to understand the why behind this. I couldn't understand, so I prayed for understanding because I was in 7th grade. I was a child. But I grew up Christian, and I wanted to believe that everything was a part of God's plan, right? But I was angry. I was hurt. I had to go, God, you want to tell me what that was? Was that a part of the plan? Well, she didn't answer. But then I remembered a very beautiful quote by a dear friend. Remember that in our darkest times, when we think our hope is lost, a teacher is always quiet during the test. How fitting is it for me to be a teacher right now, huh? And then so I took that test, and it led me to a career in Paralympic judo. And as I made my mark in that sport, I stood atop a world that I once felt forgotten by. And I was convinced that I passed that test. I finished my career as a 2-time Paralympic bronze medalist and world champion. Right? I imagined that I'd be happy. Just happy and at peace. But then I assumed that I failed the test because I wasn't either of those things. I was burned out, and I was in crippling physical, emotional, and psychological pain. And so when I retired from judo, I wondered, was my career just not busting enough? Was I just not goated enough for the happiness club? Because there was no happiness after my retirement. There was no peace. Not from the trauma of my past, and not from an onslaught of painful emotions and hijacked thoughts. I guess I hoped for a while that the medals would fix that, realizing that they wouldn't, and realizing that they just could not. I had to sit with the situation at hand. I was at the end of a fraying rope. I had more anger than I knew what to do with, and I was in a constant state of fight or flight. It was trauma, something I needed to heal from, the aftermath of that attack and everything else that had happened in my childhood. And while this story is unique to me, it is not uncommon. The students we serve at YES, and many students across our nation, share very similar experiences. And so many of us quite often don't even know what to do with the pain that we carry. So we call it anger in an attempt to use rage to ease the pain that we feel. This chaotic mixture of pain and anger, it drives us. It drives us to addiction. It drives us to suicide. It drives us to harming others and ourselves. It causes us to suffer without reason. It collapses us into survivorship and conditions us to expect only the worst. We become stuck in the same painful stories on repeat. And then we become desperate and fearful living this way. Perhaps desperate enough to rob and assault the kid for food. But an important lesson that I learned from that attack is the fact that hurt people hurt people. And this lesson helped to clear way for healing, for forgiveness, and for understanding. And the lessons taught by YES, they help in this healing too. The curriculum teaches us to reshape our narrative. It teaches us language to speak to the hurt and begin the healing process. The curriculum helps us to respond appropriately to our environment and increases our capacity to learn new information. And these tools come in the form of the SEL5, and that is self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. The YES Road to Success curriculum, at its core, it guides us to discover who we are in the grandest sense. And when we set a foundation of who we are, we then embark on a journey of growth, insight, and success. We become less concerned about the outcomes of life, and then healing becomes our only goal. Then the rest just falls into place, as it should. And so if you were to ask me, how do we know if we're healing? How do we know if we've healed? And how can we tell if healing is happening for students? Well, I tell you one, those are very good questions. And there are three things that come to mind that I've noticed in the classroom I teach in at Randall Middle School that tells me that what we do matters. And that's eye contact, that is posture, and gratitude. One of the very first things that I noticed in my first week was the quality of eye contact made by students who are traumatized, or even the lack thereof. Students who carry a massive trauma will make eye contact that says, I am searching for safety. And as a teacher, as a human, it is a beautiful thing when a child's eyes tell you that they trust you. It is a gift, really. And that's the first change I begin to notice when I see that healing is happening. When the lessons are working, eyes begin to greet you instead of searching you. And when we go through life in pain and hurting, our bodies respond to it by shifting our postures forward and down. These are the students with dropped heads. You've seen them, the kind of hunchbacks, sunken chests. Some things this posture is saying is that I don't want to be here. I need to defend from all that is around me. But when we are empowered to heal, our posture reflects that. And there's a student that comes to mind when I think of this. She had already arrived to school, already feeling defeated, in pain and overwhelmed. And so she asked if I could talk during the planning period. Of course, I told her yes. And during that time, she started telling me about what's going on in her life. And as she spoke, as she shared more about how she was feeling, her posture sank deeper and deeper. But before I responded to her, I let silence fill that space. When you do that, this communicates that I am here. I am here, and we don't need to hurry and fix anything right now. For the moment, just be. Just be. And then as I began speaking, she still stood there with her head down, looking up every so often to check if I was still there. I indeed was, and I made an effort to make eye contact with her every time she looked up at me. As I began to speak, and as I continued talking, I led her through a self-check. I also reflected on a lesson on negativity with her. And then as the conversation went on, her posture progressively improved. Her back straightened, her shoulders began to relax, and then her head was upright. By the end of the conversation, she was at peace. She had a game plan to address the negativity in her life, and she had a sense of empowerment. And her body began to reflect that confidence. And lastly, gratitude is another tale for when lessons of healing are working for a child. And I'm sure that teachers and parents know this, but a child will not express gratitude for something that they are just not grateful for. For example, the other day, a student asked me for a mask. I went to go get him a mask, and when I gave it to him, a teacher ended up reminding him to say thank you. You see, he wanted to be compliant, and that's why he wanted the mask. But he was not at all grateful for the mask. And honestly, at this point in the game, I can't blame him. And so Fridays, we have Fun Friday. The period typically starts off with several students just kind of flocking around the teacher's desk, telling me all about their favorite anime, which is typically some of my favorite anime, and about their day, and also asking for additional trivia and riddles. I am the riddle master in my classroom, yes. Then 3 Fridays ago, one of the students, she waited until the coast was clear, and then she made her way and sat on the stool right in front of my desk. Her eyes, they greeted me, and then they began to travel up to the ceiling as she collected her thoughts, and then she said, Mister, I just want to thank you for being here, and for everything you've taught us. You've helped so much this year, even with everything going on. You are my favorite electives teacher, and you made my 8th grade year. Ooh. Her words, they told me that what we do at Yes matters, what we do at Yes empowers, and what we do at Yes heals. And I don't think she could tell, but I was definitely holding back tears. And those tears reemerged that next Saturday, and it was healing, and it was the words of that student who sparked it. I had just finished cleaning my apartment, and then as a treat, I went to go sit down on my couch to do nothing. And then I just cried. I just cried for several minutes. And reactively, I searched my mind for the cause of that pain. I couldn't find what I was looking for because absolutely nothing was wrong. I cried tears of gratitude. I cried tears of joy, and I cried tears of celebration. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was like my entire body, like the entire universe was telling me, well done. D'Artagnan, you are right where you need to be. And that's what healing does, isn't it? It puts us right where we need to be. And so now I want to recreate that experience, I want to recreate that experience to invite in that caliber of healing, not just for me, yet for the students we teach and everyone alike, anywhere and everywhere. The thing is, I can't do it alone. Here, I guess, we can't do it alone. We as a community, as a collective, as human beings, we can make the difference. Everyone here, yes, understands that, yeah, money is not everything, but we also all know that, yes, it does help. For example, it could help us to expand our reach so we can cultivate more stories of success and healing. So please, please, please help us by donating whatever it is you can. Help us serve, help us teach, and help us heal. Help us heal a generation that deserves it, because it's about time. I am D'Artagnan, a teacher and program manager for YESSInstitute. Thank you all so much for your time.
Wow. What an incredible and inspirational story. Thank you, D'Artagnan. I don't know about everyone else, but I personally wish you were my middle school teacher because you're way cooler than the one I had. So thank you again. As we enter the final stage of our evening, our last speaker is a fellow board member. Although she is one of YES's newer board members, she certainly doesn't lack the experience. She spent over 20 years in the education, nonprofit, and corporate sectors, and currently is a global professional instructor with the Crisis Prevention Institute, where she specializes in de-escalation and safety intervention skills. It's my pleasure to introduce my fellow board member and our final speaker of the evening, Donna Cash. Hey, Donna, I'm hopping in real quick. I think your microphone's on mute. And this is, as Donna would say, this is where we give grace. Grace for the virtual world and grace for technology. Donna, we still do not have you. That's okay. Why don't we give Donna a second to call back in real quick and see if she can get her sound figured out. We appreciate everyone's patience with this. I think everyone in 2020 and 2021 is familiar with the term zoomed out or frustrated with the virtual environment and the hiccups that it comes with it. So we appreciate your patience while Donna gets this figured out. And as Nina says in chat, we are used to it. And I've been volunteered to sing karaoke. That is not going to happen. We want people to stay for the event. Colleen's saying it's a good time for everyone to apply EQ skills. Couldn't agree more. Vince, who hasn't started talking and realized they were muted. I think the most common term in 2020, 2021 is, can you hear me now? Or you're on mute. And I think Donna's joining in again. I do not think it's working, Donna. I think that's okay. Well, for the sake of time, I think we are going to move on from Miss Donna Cash. But Donna, you are wonderful. Thank you, and you are the right person for our organization, not for this. So I will try and fill in with Donna's speaking notes and whatnot. But ultimately tonight, thank you for everyone's time. Thank you for everyone's grace, and thank you for everyone's patience. This has been, as I said at the opening, YES's first virtual event. Not to not have any hiccups and whatnot, but we appreciate everyone's patience. And yes, per Nina, Donna, you tried. So it wouldn't be an event without some kind of hiccup, so we appreciate everyone's time tonight. So with that being said, first off, I want to say a big thank you to the names that were featured in the beginning of the program, and they are our corporate sponsors tonight. So we have Chesco Linguistic Services, Pave Your Way, and Bubbles Benefits. And also thank you to all of our speakers tonight. And last but not least, on behalf of YES, I once again want to thank everyone for joining tonight. As D'Artagnan said earlier, none of this is possible, none of this is feasible without support. Whether it's time, talent, treasure, that's a common term, a common phrase in the nonprofit world. No matter what you have to volunteer, no matter what you have to offer, it is all valuable to our organization. And ultimately, we're all here for the kids. I can personally say growing up, I wish there was more emotional intelligence training and teaching growing up. I think we could all use it, and it only makes our lives better. And so that was one of the biggest things when I joined YES that stood out to me is this stuff is useful no matter where you go, no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, no matter what your professional career is. Emotional intelligence is something that'll behoove you no matter what. And so tonight, please consider donating your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever you can. Carlo is nice enough to be spamming chat right now with the different options of how to donate. You can do it through text messaging. You can do it through YES's website. It doesn't matter. If you want to drive a check over to my house, I will take it. Carlo, doesn't matter. We will take the money and we will make good use of it. This has been a pleasure of an organization for me to be involved in, and one that I will continue to look forward to being involved in the future. As I said before, this year we celebrate 20 years as an organization. And for anyone out there that knows anything about the nonprofit world or has been involved with it, that is a pretty rare thing. So we couldn't have done that without the support of individuals like yourselves. Whether it's texting 44321 or going on our website to donate through Community First and Colorado Gives Day, your money is truly useful in every situation that we can have to grow our programs and grow our students. So once again, thank you for your support. None of this would be possible without everyone that is here tonight. So thank you and have a great evening. And don't forget to donate if you can. Good night.